course of discussing movies, the host will spoil plots. You've been warned. Listen to their screams. Greetings, ghouls and creeps, and welcome to Listen to Their Screams, a horror podcast that feels like you're chatting with friends. I am one of your friends, Dave. We're joined as always by our other friend, Ike. Ike, how are you?
Hey, I'm not doing too bad. You guys might be able to hear it in my voice, but I am on the upswing from some kind of mystery illness. It's not the Rona.
Mystery illness. Ooh. Well, hopefully
it's not the clap either.
Yeah. If we can hear the clap in your voice, man, you got it bad, man. I'll tell you. Well, today's episode, we're going to be discussing Dawn of the Dead, the original 1978 version, and doing a little bit of a review on it and everything, because April 13th was the 45th anniversary.
Woo.
We're also going to do a top 3 on our favorite types of zombies. So hopefully, Ike, whatever this mystery illness you have is not some kind of zombie virus.
Hey, that's pretty timely that I got sick the week we're recording an episode about a zombie movie, right?
That's right. And if it is a zombie virus, hopefully you turn into one of the top 3 favorites that the cool kind of zombies and
Right.
not some lame ass with no legs that just lays there and growls at people. And I mean, everybody's got to play their part, but
True. That is true. Everybody plays their part in the world-ending pandemic.
That's right. Some are the predators, some are the food. It just whatever happens.
That's right.
Some are the secret society trying to rebuild the nation, and who knows? I think we just conglomerated like everything zombie and all in once there. It's just but we're going to talk all about zombies today. All kinds of shit happening about zombies today. So before we get there, thank you to all of our listeners, followers, and wives for everything you do to support us here on the show. So Ike, before we dive into the Night of the Living Dead shit, what did you watch this week?
I actually watched quite a bit. So first and foremost, I'm going to get it out of the way. But I watched the new Fallout series on Prime. Now, it's not explicitly horror. I will say that there are some pretty horrifying things about like Fallout and the premise of Fallout.
It's post-apocalyptic, right? And I mean, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
It's basically a story that's set in the nuclear apocalypse, essentially. So
that's kind of scary.
I think so. I think it's pretty terrifying if you ask me. But yeah, so I watched that. Really loved it. 10 out of 10 if you guys like shows and you like sci-fi. If you like pretty much any genre, this fits it. It's comedic. It's adventure. It's action. There's romance. I'm just kidding. It's
if
good.
you like watching shit, it's good.
Really though.
And if you don't like watching shit, what the hell are you listening to this for? I don't understand what
Exactly. But yeah, check it out. It's on Prime, which also Prime, I think, have updated their app a little bit recently. It is not as bad as it once was. So
well, it couldn't be any worse.
Correct.
That used to be, oh my gosh. I mean, it was so hard to maneuver.
It was.
And you would think all that money, you got that Amazon money, and you can't do better than that. So, I mean, maybe they were just starting low so that people would be like, oh, look at the improvement. And it looks good.
I think the biggest thing that it still has issues with is that sometimes it'll lag. And like, I'm not sure how that works because it's not like the old days where you could like pause it and let it buffer. Like you have to like close it and reopen it. It's weird. But anywho. Other than that, I watched a movie on Starz called Dear David. It's actually a creepypasta. Dear David is, I would classify it as a creepypasta. But it's pretty good. I would probably give it like 3.5 out of 5. And then in addition to that, in preparation for today's episode, I of course watched the original Dawn of the Dead, but I also watched the remake. And then I also watched the remake of Days of the Dead, as well as the movie Land of the Dead, which I didn't know this, but I saw it, and I was watching the beginning of Land of the Dead. And there's a guy in the background who dies like really quickly, but he's forefront and center. And I was like, oh my God, it's our boy. It's Tom O'Bannon. He was in that movie.
Whoa, wait, what? He was in which one?
He was in Land of the Dead.
No way.
Yeah, he plays a guy who literally dies within the first 10 minutes, but he's there, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, he is. He's so what is it? Stafusi.
He's the pussy. He is.
I started to forget the word. I'm like, what the hell was that word again?
I guess we got to use it more often, but
Yeah, we've let it lie for a while, and
true. But yes, he was in it. I was very surprised. He plays a character named Mike, but I saw his face and I'm like, he looks so familiar, but he's super young because it's like in 2005, so almost 20 years ago. So yeah, that was cool. But other than that, I didn't watch anything else. Just the normal here and there. Started watching some other shows, but nothing horror related.
yeah. Well, yeah, the same. I mean, I did watch one movie, but I did also start watching the new Walker series because I'm a Jared Padalecki fan, obviously. So I started watching that. I started watching some of it when it first came out, and kind of trailed off. Monica she's current. She watches it all the time, so I'm catching up. It's a pretty enjoyable show. Not my typical kind of thing, but it's still pretty good. And I love Jared Padalecki, but you watch Walker, you're looking for Chuck Norris, and when he's not there, it's. But I did watch a movie called House of the Devil, which was written and directed by Ty West. Came out in 2009. It's available to view on Peacock, and I watched this because at Night Cyclops. Let's see, hold on here. Yeah, at Night Cyclops movie on X recommended that we watch this. And I just noticed his tweet, and I thought, okay, well, one day I thought, well, I'll give that a chance. And it was pretty good. It was kind of a retro slasher, a little bit of thriller, and a little bit of a satanic thing. It was set in the 80s, and it leaned heavy into the mythos and all the rumor of the 80s and the satanic cults that everybody supposedly had in their basement, and would get you. And it was pretty good. It was. I never heard of the movie, but I did enjoy it. So thank you, Night Cyclops, for the recommendation. Ike, you should watch it sometime. Like I said, it's available on Peacock. A Ty West movie from 2009. I hadn't heard of it. That's kind of peculiar that something like that is out there, but but pretty good. So other than those, I think that's all I watched. So let's move on then to our weekly segment. Top 3. And as I mentioned earlier, our weekly segment this week is the OG, the original one that we started with here on the show. It is back to the classic Top 3. And today our top 3 is going to be our top 3 favorite types of zombies. And this is kind of a loosey-goosey topic, right? I mean, there's lots of directions we could go with this. Because there are styles of zombies, right? There are there's whatever. If you want to look at zombies with their abilities and what they can do, you can look at zombies in the way they were formed or how they became zombies. There's lots of different aspects that we can go with this. I kept it pretty cut and dry. I'm pretty clear on my favorite types of zombies and my favorite type of portrayal. So let's dive into this. I'll start. My number 3 is my number 3 favorite type of zombie is what I build as the running zombie, which was to me was very prominent in World War Z. There's something very terrifying to me of something that is out to get you and out to eat you and out to consume you and kill you and whatever else, but that can run like a motherfucker. Yeah. And because of the decaying, decrepit, risen dead or whatever you want to call it of their body, they don't feel fatigue and everything else like the same as a normal person. So not only are they able to sprint and run, but they can do it a little more sustained. And that's pretty terrifying. And I think probably what makes it even more terrifying is when this, and then I think this has been done in a couple different movies and different genres and different things or whatever you want to call it, different properties. I don't think World War Z was maybe not even the first, but it's definitely not the only one to do a running zombie. But I think what they can add to the terror is it's such a contrast to what we've always viewed and known and seen as zombies, right? Zombies have always been lumbering and slow, and if you can't get away from them, just kick them real hard, they'll just fall over, and everything else, and you could outrun them. So to see something like this, it was such a contrast. It kind of blows your mind a little bit. So.
No, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, World War Z was certainly not the first, but the World War Z zombies are a special kind of running zombie too, because you see in this movie that they create like these hordes of like waves of the undead. Especially the scenes where they're like, I think they're in Israel. And they're like just crawling up the sides of these mountains and stuff. And, and like you said, other movies have done it similar. 28 days later, 28 weeks later, just very athletic, very physically, just prime zombies. And like you said, that brings a whole level of terror to it for sure.
Yeah. But, it's like I have this disgust and unlike of turtles.
Right.
And, and it's always just more a bit of just kind of I had a very bad encounter with a snapping type turtle when I was a kid that I think it's still a lot of this fear, but there's also just that I don't know, there's a grossness in my mind of turtles. But then you watch those videos of the turtles that can really freaking fly and run fast. And I'm like, oh my God, that is like my nightmare. And it's because something I was already uneasy with now has this added weapon in its arsenal. And it's like, oh my gosh. And, so it's kind of like that for me.
That's fair. I
don't know if it's fair, but, it is. So, all right. So moving on, Ike, what is your number 3 favorite type of zombie?
Like you said, I kind of did a similar grasp, like the kind of types of zombies and everything else. But I will say my number 3, it also incorporates sort of a facet of how you get infected and everything. But my number 3 is The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. So The Walking Dead, they have your typical zombies. And in recent, series, they do have some sort of alternatives to zombies. I believe in the Daryl Dixon show, there's one that has like acid blood or something like that.
Yes.
And then in the World Beyond, there were zombies that like were hard, I believe.
Like calcified. And, Walking Dead's very cool about bringing in these. They're all at their core the same kind of zombie.
Right.
But the effects of their surroundings, affects them differently, right? There's differences because of their surroundings, and that's pretty wild.
Exactly, and that's a very cool thing that they do. But also, I like The Walking Dead zombies just as a general rule because basically everyone's infected, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the biggest plot twists of like The Walking Dead at the time was that basically no matter how you die, even if you are not bit, mm-hmm. you turn into a zombie.
Yep.
And unless you have a bullet in your head, and I think that definitely creates sort of like these almost unbeatable stakes. And something that they talk about in the World Beyond is basically that it is almost assured that humanity will not survive the zombies, right? They talk about that, and it's sort of like this never-ending feeling that no matter how hard you fight, no matter how many zombies you kill, anytime a human dies or is born and then dies, there's another zombie, Yep. So that in a way brings a whole new level of terror to it, because literally anybody could turn into a zombie. All they have to do is fall and bump their head, lights out, and then you got a zombie. You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, you could be in a completely safe situation, think you're fine. You could lay down to go to sleep for the night with your spouse, and something happens and they pass away in the night, and you could wake up devoured. Yep. I mean, it is very terrifying. And obviously, maybe, I don't know, maybe outside the Romero stuff, the Walking Dead zombies, are maybe the most culturally widely seen and known zombies out there, right? And obviously there's a lot of similarities with the Romero, right? That type of walker, which brings me to my number 2. My number 2 is the Romero style of zombie, right? Which is very similar to The Walking Dead in the aspect of it's just, the lumbering, the creepy, lurking, that no intelligence what to speak of, just a pure base instinct drive to eat. and everything else. But like you said, it's obviously a little different in the Romero stuff. It's not that it's in all of us. It's you have to be turned.
Right.
But I like that. I like that style probably just because, that's to me, that style is what you think of when you think zombie, right? The infestation part aside, how they turn aside, just the fact of a lumbering, slow moving, moaning, looking to eat, whether it be flesh or brains, which, depending on your approach and your take. That is the pop culture standard zombie. That's what you think. And that's what's out there in millions of different takes and forms. And been, but Romero was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first to really do it. And then obviously added a lot of his own stuff to it. And, took the ball and ran with it big time and became known for it. So that's my number 2 is that Romero style zombie. And the lumbering, moaning, creepy kind of, whatever you want to call it, decaying shit. So moving on, Ike, what is your number 2 favorite type of zombie?
Well, weirdly enough, it is also the Romero universe zombies.
There you go.
So, like you said, the Romero universe zombies are more traditional, classical take on zombies. One thing that I think the Romero zombies do that are set apart from the other zombies that you might see in literature, and Romero does this for the very specific purpose. George Romero it was a very politically driven man. A lot of his movies were, political takes on the time, on consumerism, on, a number of quantifiable issues that we have in our world. But one of the things that he did with zombies is that the zombies held a resemblance to what they were previously, right?
Right. Yep.
So Dawn of the Dead talks a lot about this because why are the zombies coming to the mall when, for all intents and purposes, there should be no reason they should come to the mall. And one of the characters says, maybe they're trying to act upon what they used to do in their life, which is come to the mall. And so in later films like Day of the Dead, Romero even went further to say that, zombies might be able to be tamed. We might be able to tap into like that humanity that is still there by, training them. And that's where there's a zombie in Day of the Dead that they train. And same thing with Land of the Dead. Land of the Dead takes it to the next extent to where basically the zombies are sentient. They've been around long enough that they can use weapons and they can communicate to one another. It's a whole thing. So yeah, I think Romero zombies are very unique in that aspect where they are almost self-sustaining to the point where they're like normal humans. They're just undead,
Yeah, it leans into heavy, whatever you want to call it, muscle memory, instinct, doing the things that you did. I mean, we are all slaves to that to an extent, right? Of our routines, and things we do. And, everybody has variations, right? You get up, you work, you do this, you do that, blah, blah, blah. On the weekend, you do this. We all have our things. And, it kind of leaned into that. It's done so much that that's just, even if you were, it plays off the old expressions, right? Even I could do this even in my sleep, right? Or whatever. It's even, it continues on even after. So moving on then onto our number ones. And, my number 1 is probably my favorite zombie movie, for pure entertainment value. And it is what I'm calling the Night of the Living Dead zombies. Man, these zombies to me are they're terrifying, right? Because they're fast, they're strong, they're intelligent. And one thing though, that, they have to be cremated. Even when they're cremated, right? Even the smoke can still spread. But one of the things that I think was one of the coolest aspects that they put into this and into these zombies is, they have to eat brains, but there's a reason behind. They have to eat brains to ease the pain of being dead.
Yeah.
And that's the only relief they can get. And I always thought that was clever. And that's a very cool aspect to bring to it. And, it puts a little purpose behind the drive. I'm not saying it necessarily there has to be a purpose, but I thought it was kind of unique. And this movie is just so fun, and the zombies in it are I don't know, they terrify me because of that of some of it. Right, there's still a lot of link, and there's not as much change between the living and the dead. Right, they still have a lot of those same attributes, and it's very, very freaky. But it's such a fun damn movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Return of the Living Dead type zombies, like you said. They're unique.
That's what I meant. Did I say night? Yeah. I think I said night, didn't I?
I think so.
I don't know what. Yeah, I meant Return of the Living Dead. Yeah.
But no, I mean, in the Return of the Living Dead zombies, they're entirely unique because there are no other zombies, at least that I can think of, off the top of my head, that act the way that they act. And it's unique because, like you said, not only are they not eating human flesh, which is sort of like the atypical zombie, right?
Yeah.
They are eating brains, and the reason they have to eat brains is, like you said, it helps with the pain of them being dead. So not only are they creating essentially an almost unstoppable creature, right? You have to cremate them. I think if you dismember them, that's probably going to help. But they're not going to be dead because the head's still there. Yeah. But you have to cremate them. And even then, the smoke can still cause issues. And I believe in the Return of the Living Dead, what the military ends up doing is they just fucking bomb them. I mean, they just blow them away to smithereens because that's the only way they could physically think to take care of this problem. So, like you said, it's a very unique take on the zombies. And it's weird to think that those zombies and the Romero zombies all came from the same movie. They all came from the Night of the Living Dead franchise. And then you had the break off to Dawn of the Dead and Return of the Living Dead, which are the two creators' independent sort of works based off of their work on Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. Again, Return of the Living Dead, like I said, it's probably my favorite zombie movie. One of my favorite zombie movies, at least. Dawn of the Dead, that we're going to discuss today, is right up there too. But it's just such a fun movie. But that brings us to your number one, Ike. What is your number one favorite type of zombie?
All right. So people probably can guess what my number one is because of how much I've talked about this series. But my number one favorite is Resident Evil. So
wait a minute. You like Resident Evil?
Yeah, I know, right?
News to me.
But, I love the Resident Evil games. I love the Resident Evil movies. I love the Resident Evil TV show. I love everything to do with Resident Evil. You put that in front of me, I'm going to eat that shit up so quick. So Resident Evil has this very unique approach to zombies where it is a human manufactured virus specifically meant as a weapon of war, right? The T virus. The T virus, which is the original virus from Resident Evil, was made as a weapon. It was made to basically. Let me preface it by saying this: is that its original intention was not to turn people into the undead. That just happened, unfortunately, which still is profitable. But it was used to basically to destabilize communities and countries by turning their people against themselves. Which is a very good way to, do a coup or, implement your preferred flavor of government. If you destabilize a country using this virus, then boom, you have power. And, Resident Evil, started out with the game on PlayStation 1, but it's evolved. There are different types of zombies. There are, one of my favorite types of zombies, they're called Crimson Heads. And they're a zombie that you've put down once, but the virus kicks into overdrive and brings that undead corpse back to life, but it's even worse the second time around. So, and there's plenty of other zombies and types of zombie viruses. There are, fish zombies, there are dog zombies, there are reptile hybrid zombies, there are tyrants, which are, super powerful zombies. So, it's a very large and expansive universe with dozens, if not hundreds, of types of zombies. So I love it. It's my favorite all time. I could talk for days about Resident Evil.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm not super familiar with Resident Evil. I know little bits and pieces, so I can't speak much to it. But again, like you said, no surprise that you're number one.
I didn't think it would be super surprising.
No. I kind of figured that's where it was going to go when we put this assignment before us. So, all right. Well, there you have it. There are our top 3 favorite types of zombies. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what you like. What is your favorite type of zombie? And let us know. We like discussion and feedback, so hit us up and let us know. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have news, birthdays, and movie anniversaries, so you stick around. Make sure you subscribe to Listen to Their Screams on your favorite podcast platform. Also, make sure you look us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, and Slasher. All you have to do is look up Listen to Screams. That is Listen, the number 2 in Screams, and you can find us there. Also, make sure you go and buy yourself a Listen to Their Screams t-shirt. You can find all of our shirts at tinyurl.com/Screams Shirts.
Spread the news. Spread the news. Spread the news. And welcome back to the news. All right, starting us off here, we have Immaculate, now available video on demand. We reviewed Immaculate not too long ago. In fact, Dave was sick at that time, so maybe he transferred his illness to me virtually. It just took a while to get to me. It was on dial-up, I think.
Maybe.
But yeah, he did not get to watch this movie fully, so hopefully now it is on video on demand. He'll be able to check it out and give us his opinions eventually. Yeah. And then, but yeah, if you guys want to watch it at home, perfect opportunity. Get it.
Yeah, kind of surprising, right? I love how this happens now. You know, it's like,
oh yeah,
stuff's hitting video demand so quick, and it's like just not even this huge production. It's just like, bam, there it is, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. And such a wild world we live in now. But there you go. If you didn't go see Immaculate, it might still be in theaters for all I know.
I think it is actually.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
If you'd like to prefer watching it at home, you now have the choice.
True. I remember during the beginning of the pandemic, like all the new movie releases were online.
Yeah.
A lot of times they weren't even doing full theater runs in some cases. Definitely
a weird time, but
it really was. You're like, I can watch this brand new movie on streaming? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But all right. Rush Collectibles has announced that they are going to produce action figures for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. Rush issued the following statement to us lovely fans. Honoring the heritage of horror action figure, Rush brings to you the first gut-slashing, head-smashing, bone-breaking Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 action figures, starting with Winnie the Pooh himself. The 100-acre woods will never be the same again. So for more info, coming soon, follow them on Instagram at Rush Collectibles. That'll be the best way to keep up to date on that, and we'll let you know as well.
Yeah, I actually communicate fairly regularly with the guy that owns and runs Rush Collectibles, primarily because their primary thing is wrestling figures.
Right.
So I have that connection with them through my wrestling podcast and everything else. And the gentleman's name is Luke. I'm not gonna give his last name per se, but it's Luke. And we discuss a lot about the wrestling figures. I help put him in touch with certain wrestling personalities and families to try to get some of those licenses. Anyway, so I'm super excited that Luke and Rush Collectibles are doing Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. Number one, man, I'm just psyched that we're getting figures. And you said this statement was, this is exclusive to, well, I know there's not anything real specific in it, but this was what Luke gave me personally, right? When I saw this, I reached out to Luke and said, hey, dude, give me, I have a horror podcast too. Give me a statement on this something we can throw in there. And this is what he gave us. Mainly what I wanted to know is, how many figures are they going to do? Whatever. I was fishing for more info. They didn't give us a lot, but it essentially is broken down that they're just starting with Winnie the Pooh, right? There's going to be one to begin with.
Right.
Knowing how Rush operates, there'll be a pre-order that this will come up, right? And if we all slam this pre-order and really make this a big thing for them, there will be further figures. I want every damn character in this movie. I am so psyched to get these figures. Uh, Monica absolutely despises the concept of these movies. She feels like it is ruining her childhood, her properties. So I need me a Winnie the Pooh, slasher figure right up on my shelf. And, anyway, I'm super excited. This is pretty cool. And it's another step in the success of this franchise and this, public domain stuff that, here they are starting to get some agreements to put out merchandise and things. This is good stuff. I can't wait to get this figure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will also keep an eye for this. I don't do the collectibles a whole lot, but I feel like I would love a Winnie the Pooh figure of some sort. I feel like that'd be legit.
Yeah, super fun. And of course, we'll keep everybody, up on the information as it's released and as it comes out. Maybe, who knows? Maybe if we can get a couple of these figures when they come out, maybe we'll do an unboxing video. We can set up a joint call and both of us unbox at the same time and do something unique like that we can throw up on YouTube. Something different.
There you go.
But, yep. I'm super excited, right? I mean, I'm a merchandise freak, love figures and stuff of everything, anything I'm into. But when it's something like this, that's not super mainstream and you're on that fence, you don't know whether they'll get them or not, right? You don't know what's going to happen. And to see them get, a figure, that's so cool. It's like this huge win for a little independent film that has caught a lot of traction. And, I'm super excited for them.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be great. And like you said, if we, blow this up, maybe they'll get some more figures on their way to us sooner than later.
And Rush Collectibles is a great company to work with, right? I know on the wrestling side, right? They do some deluxe figures. They had a Sabu, collectible figure. Sabu is a wrestler for those that don't know. They got them in from their factory. And, as they started to, they conducted their, whatever you want to call them, their checks on them. They noticed something that they didn't really like about it, right? About the production. And they said, yep, nope, you got to redo this. So, right. They were making sure they had this stuff and they could have just easily just said, whatever, and sent them on out to the people who'd pre-ordered and take their chance. But nope, it wasn't up to their quality standards. They pushed back to make sure it was corrected and they got the product they wanted to send out there. So that's cool. They're collectors at heart. They're fans at heart. And, to see them, they have their customers in mind. So it's a good company to work with. It's like I said, an independent toy company working with an independent filmmaker. This is your chance to double support, some of these independent guys out there doing their thing. And, so like I said, we will definitely put information about the pre-order everywhere when it comes out. And, hopefully everybody will get on board. That Pooh Crew will be loud and proud and support this figure and pre-order. Let's make this a huge success.
Yes, absolutely. Pooh Crew for life. All right. Good news, guys. Good news. This is my favorite part of the news here. Terrifier 3 has finished filming.
Yeah.
Speaking of the movie, Daniel Roebuck, from the Monsters movie, joins the film to play Santa. So the movie is scheduled to hit theaters on October 25th. Obviously, Dave and I have talked about this nonstop, and we will continue to talk about this nonstop until we have actually seen the movie.
And even after.
We still talk about Terrifier 2 all the time. It comes up pretty much, I would say, 99% of the time when we talk on these podcasts. Yep. It comes up.
Yep.
But yeah, of course, Terrifier 3 is going to be amazing. October can't get here fast enough. Actually, I think 25th. I was actually thinking about taking the day off for that and going as early as humanly possible to see it. But I'll probably see it late on Thursday if they do a late night showing or something.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that this will be a movie that I will have seen more than once by the time we record the review because, man, I'm so excited. Daniel Roebuck, obviously played, Grandpa Munster, or not Grandpa Munster, Grandpa Munster. On the Munsters movie, the Rob Zombie Munsters movie, did a great job. And he's a huge fan of this stuff, right? From all of his posts, a good guy. So he's cool to have on board, and kind of do this. He's playing Santa. Leads me to believe it's not a big role. It's probably an early kill. Right. Probably towards the beginning of the movie, I would suspect. But it's exciting, right? And I cannot wait for this movie. Obviously we are huge, Terrifier fans, huge Art the Clown fans. The whole crew, all the actors involved, we're huge fans of them all, supporters of them all. And, I can't wait. I cannot wait to see this movie. And, the fact that it comes out right before Halloween, right in that prime time when I'm already excited for the movie, but at that time, it's like I'm taking in everything, scary horror related, even more so than normal at that time of year, right? You're just primed for it. And, and the fact that there's Christmas. Oh, everything. I'm already. I just can't stand it. I'm so ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, October 25th cannot get here fast enough, but we will wait patiently while we wait for it to come. All right. Moving on to upcoming birthdays. We have some good ones today, as we usually do. April 18th, 1972, Eli Roth. He is known for such great films as Thanksgiving, Green Inferno, Hostel, and Dave's favorite movie, Cabin Fever.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's Dave's least favorite movie. I don't think that Dave often says that he hates movies, but I think this is the exception to that rule.
Two movies. There are two movies.
Oh, and Coyote Ugly, yeah?
This and Coyote Ugly that I just cannot handle. And I don't even know. I can't even purely give whys. They just rub me the wrong way. But, otherwise, I do like Eli Roth's work. And, we talked, at length about our appreciation and our love for his recent Thanksgiving movie. Obviously, he's already working on a follow-up to that, so that's exciting. So he's obviously done some really, really good work, some really, really good films, and he will bring us more in the future. So, pretty excited. Happy birthday, Eli Roth.
Amen to that. Bring us Thanksgiving, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now we have a legend. April 19th, 1946, Tim Curry. He is known for Rocky Horror Picture Show, It, and many, 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 many more. But he was the original Pennywise.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, yeah. I mean, it's probably what one of he's most known for, but obviously Tim Curry to me, when I picture Tim Curry, when I think it's always from Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's probably my first, introduction to Tim Curry that I can remember, that I know of. Rocky Horror was great, but yeah, to me, the original It, established that was great. Just everything he does, man, it's just so good in. He knocks it out of the park. Even he does, even the non-horror stuff, whatever else. He's so good. Such an iconic actor. And, so great. We're fortunate that as of now, he's still with us. So.
Absolutely. And, I'm pretty sure he still does like signings and stuff. He still goes to conventions.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He's just still out there. He's just rocking and rolling. But all right. April 20th, 1945. Very timely for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Judith O'Dea,
mm-hmm.
Who plays Barbara in the original Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Iconic role. The original Night of the Living Dead obviously is an iconic film. And like I said, it is very, very timely for this episode, seeing as the 45th anniversary of the Dawn of the Dead was not too long ago. But there would be no Dawn of the Dead without Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, it's wild. Not only did she play this iconic role in this iconic movie, but one of the most iconic lines from any movie, right? So many people know that they're coming to get you. And it's her character's name in it, and that's wild. It's it's people act for years and years and years and don't have that kind of, infuse into pop culture, and so pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, moving on to April 20th, 1964, Crispin Glover from Friday the 13th, the final chapter. If I'm thinking of the right person, Crispin Glover. Who is this guy? I feel like I know him.
Yeah, he's done all kinds of things, right?
Is he from Back to the Future?
He's from Back to the Future, right? He plays,
okay.
Plays George McFly. He's in the final chapter. He has that crazy ass dance scene where he's dancing all spazzed and crazy. He was in the remake of Willard, and he's done many other things, but, obviously most known, I'm sure, for Back to the Future for playing George McFly. But, in, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, that scene where he gets out there and dances and, just cracks me up every time I see it. So.
I can place him now because I was like, I wanted to say it was the guy from, Back to the Future, but I was like, I don't want to sound stupid if that's not the right guy.
Yeah, no, that's him.
Good. Okay. Then I know what we're talking about. He is good in that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously his character is specifically there to just die. But you know how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But very good. All right. And then 2 days later and 2 years later, April 22nd, 1966, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Of course, he is from Supernatural and The Walking Dead, as well as many, many other things.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he was in Grey's Anatomy, played a character
Mm-hmm.
named Denny.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a little all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But I love him as a Negan. I think he was a perfect Negan in The Walking Dead.
Yep.
And of course, you know, he played, Winchester's dad. I can't remember his name. John Winchester. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Obviously he's great. He's great in everything.
Yeah. He's in the next season of The Boys. He has a part in that. That's coming up, getting ready to come out. He's going to be in that. He's done lots of movies, lots of things, but it's just such a cool dude too. Just to follow him on social media and see, he's just such a cool guy. And, done, you know, I kind of guy's in a good looking dude.
That's right. He is a very handsome man and very talented. So, all right. And then we have April 24th, 1974. Speaking of Supernatural, Eric Kripke, a creator on Supernatural. I don't know what else he's done. I'm sure I've seen something else, but I do know him from that.
Yeah. Well, he's also the guy that developed The Boys.
Okay.
He's in charge of that. That's why you see a lot of Supernatural actors in it, I believe. He's done a couple other things. I don't think anything real big. You know, he did a couple things that didn't really click, but yeah, obviously Supernatural was huge. But now, yeah, he is the guy now that developed The Boys for Amazon. And, obviously that's a huge ass thing now. So he's got, you know, pretty successful.
I was just looking. He actually did, he did the Boogeyman. He wrote the Boogeyman, the original from 2005.
Yep.
That's very cool. Hey, would have never known, but very good. All right. So we have some upcoming movie anniversaries. We have April 19th, 2019, The Curse of La Llorona. This, of course, is a very underrated, Conjuring universe film. I feel like that's something that maybe a lot of people don't know, is that this is part of the Conjuring universe. But The Curse of La Llorona was sort of like a spin-off, didn't really have anything to do with the main, like, Warrens and all that. But it has Linda Cardellini in it, who is forever known as Velma from the live-action Scooby-Doo movie. She's done lots of other stuff, of course, but she's in this movie. She plays the mom. And a lot of other great actors, like Raymond Cruz, who's from Breaking Bad. But yeah, I love this movie. It is not talked about enough, and typically when people rank the Conjuring movies, I feel like this is usually towards the bottom, but I think it's because the Warrens aren't in it, or Annabelle isn't in it, or the Nun isn't in it.
Yeah. It's still a pretty decent movie. But, yeah, it's hard when you make one of those movies in a series like that and it doesn't really fit directly in the series per se. There's always those people that are like, this is not what I expected and everything else. So, but still, it's still a pretty good film.
Absolutely. 100%. And then up next, April 21st, 1989, Pet Sematary. Of course, we have talked about the Pet Sematary movies a little bit. We reviewed the Pet Sematary's Bloodline not too long ago, maybe a few months ago. So check that out. But we both love the Pet Sematary movie. The remake's good as well. It's iconic. It's a good Stephen King movie. Definitely one that's memorable, for sure.
Yeah. Love the original. It's just pretty good. It's got a lot of good, you know, good people in it. You know, it's just a great story, great acting. You know, got a Ramones song in it. What more do you need?
Right. Exactly. All right. And then last, we have April 21st, 2023, just last year, 1 year old, Evil Dead Rise. Now, obviously everyone knows how much we love the Evil Dead franchise and how much we love Evil Dead Rise. We've talked about it so much it's not even funny. But this movie is fantastic, and it is celebrating its first birthday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's, you had the review in our archive where we covered this. And I'm trying to remember. I can't remember where this placed on our top 5. It was very high. Was it our number 1? I don't remember.
I feel like it was either our number 1 or our number 2. I don't remember if we ended up placing the original Evil Dead at number 1 or not.
Yeah, I can't remember. No, I was just talking about our favorite movies of 2023.
Oh, 2023. I think it was. Because Terrifier 2 came out in 2022. So if that was number 1 in 2022. It couldn't beat that.
Yeah, I was trying to look back and see if I could find it. Hang on here. I'm pretty close, but it was a great movie. It still is. I mean, still a great movie. Here it is. Yeah, I found the post. Our top 5 favorite movies of 2023, and number 1 was Evil Dead Rise. So this was our favorite movie of 2023. So
there you go.
Oh, good stuff.
Can't beat that.
the aforementioned Thanksgiving that we spoke about earlier with Eli Roth was at number 4. So
look at that. 2 of our top 5 were talked about today.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
But obviously, Evil Dead Rise is great. It's on Max if anybody wants to check it out. It's worth the watch. It's very good.
Yeah, it's one of those movies I feel it's due for me to give it a rewatch. So I haven't.
Absolutely. I
don't know if I've seen it since that time. So
I think I've watched it once. So I'll have to check it out. But I think in that game, or that's not a game, but that gift that Kayla gave me where we do the horror nights and stuff. Mm-hmm. One of them is Evil Dead. So I'm pretty sure she based it off of Evil Dead Rise. So I probably should wait to watch it until that pops up.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, that is one of them. So.
All right.
Anywho. All right. Last but not least, we have 2 upcoming releases, 1 in theaters, 1 at home. We are going to start with Abigail. It releases on theaters April 19th, and it is described as a group of criminals kidnap the ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure. They retreat to an isolated mansion, unaware that they're locked inside with no normal little girl. This movie is going to be great. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. It is unique. It is definitely a spin on the sort of genre that it's playing off of, and I think it's going to be funny too, which is a plus. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm very excited to eventually watch this.
Yeah, looks good. I can't wait to see it. If I got the opportunity, I may go see it in theater. We'll see. But yeah, looks really, really good. I'm pretty stoked for it.
Absolutely. And then, of course, 1 at home for you all is Late Night with the Devil, releasing on Shudder April 19th. It is described as a live television broadcast in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. And we're actually going to be reviewing this next episode.
Yeah, I'm so stoked for this movie. We were going to review it while it was in theaters, but I didn't think I could see it anywhere near me and everything else. So we waited for the Shudder, but I think there was something else out at the time too. And I can't remember. I think it was Immaculate, maybe. Anyway, whatever the case may be, this movie, the concept sounds really fun, and I can't wait to see this and talk about it next week.
Absolutely. But all right, that's all we have for news, birthdays, anniversaries, and releases. If you guys want to, actually no, you need to. This is a requirement. You must subscribe to us. Must subscribe or you will be destroyed. That's a command from the alien overlords. So take that for what you will.
What is it, Kang and Kwan or whatever from?
Yeah, from the Simpsons.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love them. I love them in the Treehouse of Horror episode.
Yeah.
I think one of the early ones, they're like offended that the humans thought that they were going to eat them or whatever.
Yeah. Send them back.
Send them back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
But anywho, if you guys haven't already, follow us on social media. Get some fun, interesting and fun news and whatnot from us. But coming up next is our review and our celebration of the 45th anniversary of Dawn of the Dead. Stick around.
Listen to Their Screams is now a Fangoria collaborator. Get 20% off your order at shop.fangoria.com by using the promo code LISTEN2SCREAMS at checkout. That is listen, the number 2, and screams. Or you can click the link in the show notes. All right, and we're back, and we're digging into the past, and we're going to review Dawn of the Dead for the 45th anniversary. The movie was written and directed by George A. Romero, stars David M.G., Kevin Faria, Scott Renninger, and Galen Ross. The movie was filmed in the Monroeville Mall in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, which now features a Living Dead museum in the mall. You can visit them online at livingdeadmuseum.com. I believe they do some events. Actually, I believe they even do showings of the movie periodically. They're in the mall. So that would be pretty cool. So check them out, livingdeadmuseum.com. Of course, the special effects for this movie was done by Tom Savini, and the movie premiered April 13th, 1979 in Pittsburgh, near the area where it was filmed. Where it was filmed. What can you say about this movie, right? It's an iconic movie, iconic just in horror in general and zombies in particular. Romero is a master, right? And he knew what he wanted with this. He wanted something that looked very comic booky, right? And there's lots of talks about different things happening with it, right? Savini made the zombies in the movie with gray skin because of the original Night of the Living Dead, which didn't parlay over really directly onto film, but it was what they went with. Tom Savini was not happy with the color of the blood in the movie, thought it was too kind of fluorescent and bright. But George Romero loved it because he thought it added to that comic book feel that he was really wanting in the film. Right. There's the effects are great because of Savini. The characters are great in this movie. The acting's great in this movie. The writing, everything. I mean, it's got social context about consumerism, about racism, about classes in society. It touches on all this stuff. It's just a very important film. In the horror history, and it's also though just such an enjoyable film to watch. It is I don't even know how many times I've seen it, right? Dozens of times at least. And it's every time I watch it, it's just still a very memorable film. It still holds your attention. It has some great kills, some great looking zombies in it, some great situations that the characters are put into. I'd venture to guess that most people listening to this, has seen this film. I can't imagine, too many people that if you're, a horror fan have not encountered Dawn of the Dead. Obviously the movie has been remade, in what was it, 2004-ish, something like that, I think.
Yeah, 2004.
Yeah, there you go. I think it was Scott Snyder, right? That redid it?
Zack Snyder, but yeah.
Zack Snyder, that's what I meant. Scott Snyder is the comic book,
yeah.
author.
He is, isn't he? He had a good Green
is.
Lantern run.
Yeah. So Zack Snyder. Yeah, but so it's been remade, and everything else. But this is, it's wild when a movie that is a follow-up or a installment in a series of films that really jumps out even beyond maybe the original, right? And the original of this, or the original Night of the Living Dead, historically is so important and everything else. But as an overall film or whatever else, I think Dawn of the Dead is a better film. For, the way, the writing, the presentation, the acting, the message, everything else. I think this is it, cause it takes a lot of the Night of the Living Dead and really, really ups it, really perfects it. So I absolutely love this movie. I don't feel there's a lot of need to go into specific plot points of the movie here. Cause like I said, most people have seen it. It's out there. You can watch it, and, I'm not going to mention, and some free streaming services out there. Just do a Google. I know there's been a lot of hold up. I don't know what's going on with some of the legal rights of it, I believe, because it's not on any streaming service. It's gotten some releases, but it's like weird on how it works. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it has to do with some of that original split between the two, Romero and the other guy. Some of that, I don't know. I think there's some stuff involved. But anyway, it is a great film. I love it. Ike, tell us a little bit about Dawn of the Dead?
Yep, absolutely. Like you said, there's so much that you could say about Dawn of the Dead. And I think that the first thing that I want to kind of start with, which is where it's positioned in terms of the movies around it. I 100% agree. I think Dawn of the Dead is a better movie than Night of the Living Dead. A lot of people, will disagree with that on the foundation that Night of the Living Dead is is the original. It's kind of where it all started. It's, this, that, and the other. But I think that the two things that make Night of the Living Dead a weaker movie is, one, the black and white restrictions of the time, and also the pulling narratives of the two creators, which was George Romero and the gentleman who made Return of the Living Dead, which I can never remember his name. Pardon me. And I think that because of those shortcomings, Night of the Living Dead's a perfectly fine movie. And as Dave said, it is such a critical and important movie, not only to zombie history, but also horror movie history. If you did not have Night of the Living Dead, you would not have so much zombie content. You would not have any of the relating sequels to Night of the Living Dead. You would not have The Walking Dead. You would not have Resident Evil. The original Resident Evil was literally created because of the love of George Romero. And in fact, George Romero was actually supposed to direct a Resident Evil movie, but it got scrapped, which I will forever be upset about. But beyond that, George Romero and Dawn of the Dead, I would even point to and say that this is even further more important because of the inclusion of Dario Argento and his ability to get the film produced and put overseas. Argento is the reason why Dawn of the Dead became an international success, but the movie itself is the reason why Romero was able to make more movies, and then those movies were able to get remakes, and then those movies were able to get remakes, and then there were able to be other movies, and it's just, without Dawn of the Dead, we probably would not see nearly as much proliferation of the zombie content that we see now. But beyond the nature of the history of the film, you also have, like you said, the context of the film, the political narrative, and it talks about stuff that people did not talk about in the 70s: consumerism, police brutality, racism, and civil rights, and so much more. Literally, the movie starts with like a criticism about journalism and about news, right? And then it immediately jumps into a botched and prejudiced police raid of a low-income housing. I mean, it literally smacks you right in the face. It's so hard to miss it. But yeah, I mean, it is simply speaking one of the most important zombie movies of all time, but it is also one of the most important movies of all time. And this is one movie that I will die on the hill that the remake is not better than. I love the remake, but in my opinion, the remake it falls into the trappings of 2000s, blow 'em up movies. And, it's Zack Snyder, which I love Zack Snyder, but he used to make a lot of those blow 'em up movies, right? He was, who was the guy who made, Transformers?
Michael Bay.
He was Michael Bay before Michael Bay was Michael Bay, okay? He did all those explosions and everything else, and don't get me wrong, it's not a bad movie, it's just that when you look at the two, it didn't redeem anything that was not done in the first movie, and in my opinion, the remake is completely devoid of the political narrative that made the Dawn of the Dead movie so good, in my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion, guys, but as someone who loves remakes, the original is so much better. All right, I love the original, I love the remake, but the remake holds no candle to the original. Period.
Yeah, the original's wild. It's one of those movies where no matter what you're wanting to get out of it, you can get it, right? If you just want to watch a fun movie with some action and some zombie action, it's there for you, right? If you want to think a little deeper, it's there for you. It's really cool, in the approach. And, the guy we were thinking of it, neither of us could think of the name, is John Russo. That's the guy who co-wrote Night of the Living Dead with George Romero, and they split, and, Romero went with the, Of the Dead movies, and, Russo continued on with the Of the Living Dead movies. And, this movie was originally, they wanted to title it Dawn of the Living Dead, right? To play off of the Dawn of the, Night of the Living Dead. But because Russo had already done a film, they wanted that separation, right? They wanted to establish that they were doing a different whatever timeline or whatever you want to call it of it. So that's why they just went with the Of the Dead. But, that's, and both, I love Romero. Both are good in their own rights, but, I'm a diehard Romero guy, and, love his work and what he did. And, that's one of the things that makes Dawn of the Dead stand out so much, like you mentioned, is Romero was all over it, right? He wrote it, he directed it. This was his project, his baby. And then when you also double down with putting, Tom Savini doing the effects, that's just like perfection for me. And, it's just great. And, the Monroeville Mall is one of those, places that I want to visit, and, intend to visit at some point. I want to get out there and see it. As I like filming locations, but I like to visit them. But there's some that stand out above, and this is one of them. It's right up there at the top of the list that I want to visit. But, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. It's one of my favorite horror movies, or maybe just movies in general of all time. It's just, it's such a great film. It's, so important in the genre, so important in filmmaking, does so much right, has a great, message behind it. And, it's like it just checks so many boxes and does so much right. And, even for being a film that's 45 years old, it still works for me. And the effects still look great to me, and everything. It's just everything still jives as a great film. So,
Also, I just want to jump in real quick because you mentioned, it wasn't streaming anywhere, and I actually looked it up. You were 100% right. It is 100% to do with the basically the right to, the reproduction rights of the film, and the distribution rights, because George Romero and his estate only own part of the distribution. Dario Argento owns part of it as well. And then Richard P. Rubinstein, who is one of the other creators on the film, also owns part of it. So basically 100 people own distribution rights to the film. So until they can basically cohesively agree on something, there's nowhere to stream it. Yeah. Unless you're in the UK, I guess there's some kind of deal with Prime in the UK, so you can watch it on Prime. But we're not from the UK. We're not a bunch of tea drinking punks. I'm just joking. But anywho, but apparently I didn't know this. There was actually Rubinstein, one of the co-creator guys, was trying to remake the movie in 3D in 2016.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know, not a remake of the movie itself. He was basically trying to take the old movie and make it 3D.
Yeah, right.
It seems weird to me, but I mean, pop off if you want to do that. But apparently there are rumorings that they are working it out so that way it can stream. But it's essentially one of the few movies that isn't streaming, because Day of the Dead is on HBO Max. Night of the Living Dead, you can get, it's public domain, so you can pretty much get it anywhere.
Yeah.
Land of the Dead's on Peacock, Diary of the Dead's on Tubi, Survival of the Dead is somewhere, I don't know where. Dawn of the Dead remake's on AMC Plus, I believe, or if not, you can buy it on demand. So literally, you can get all of these movies from this universe everywhere except for Dawn of the Dead 1974. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I have a Blu-ray version of it, but it's I actually cannot watch it right at this moment because it has to be on a UHD capable player, a high definition, and my players will not play that. And I'm guessing some of this thinking maybe this is a foreign made Blu-ray. And,
Probably.
yeah, so, but I do own it, and, I will at some point have some form of a player to play it, but it has the original, the theatrical cut, the extended cut, the Argento cut, and then it's got also got a disc of special features with some, documentaries and interviews and all kinds of stuff on that. So it's got a lot of fascinating stuff that I want to watch, but I just don't have the, equipment at the moment. So be it. And my laptop, it apparently is too new. It does not have any kind of, drive on it, a CD-ROM or Blu-ray type thing. Apparently they don't do that much anymore. So,
they don't. You have to get them like external typically.
Yep. So I was hoping maybe I could have it where I could rip it off, and off the disc and do something with it, but nope, can't do that either. So I'm stuck with this very nice package that, the Blu-ray package that I just can't do anything with at the moment, but oh well.
Funny. I mean, it's not funny. It's sad,
no.
But
it is humorous. I will give it. It's frustrating because here, I was like, had all these plans. Oh, I'm going to watch all these. I'll watch all these cuts and takes. So have all, and I'm like, nope, couldn't watch it. So I just had to go watch the one take on it on the one service that we won't try to throw anybody under the bus for having posted. But, I think everybody put 2 and 2 together on that one. So, let's rate this. Like, I don't know. It's always kind of weird to rate some of these older movies like this. But, I don't know. It's pretty simple for me to be, Dawn of the Dead. It's a 4 out of 5. It's a great movie. I don't see a lot of flaws. I don't know that there will ever be a 5 out of 5 type film for me. I just don't know, but, cut and dry for me. There's no doubt in my mind that Dawn of the Dead, this version is a 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to agree. The original Dawn of the Dead is nearly a perfect movie. And for me, it also deserves a 4 out of 5. Like you said, we've talked a lot about not only just the impact of the film itself, but a lot of the narratives and the commentaries that this film provides and just the history of this movie and everything around it. It will one day be a landmark of horror and of zombie movies. And to me, it is a rightful legacy of George Romero. And, if I could give it a 5 out of 5, I would, but I think 4 out of 5 is a honest and suitable answer to that question.
Yeah, I agree. So there you go. 4 out of 5, for us. But again, such a great movie.
It is.
I suspect most people have seen it that have listening, but if not, or even if you have, go rewatch it. It's definitely worth another look. And I fully enjoyed it. Had been a little bit since I'd seen it, and I fully enjoyed watching it again.
Same.
So next week, like we mentioned earlier, we are going to be discussing and reviewing Late Night with the Devil, which is available on April 19th on Shudder. Cannot wait to watch this movie. I've been anticipating seeing this movie. It sounds so much fun. It's got great reviews and talks online. Everything that I anticipated about it seems that people are saying is true. So I can't wait to see it and talk about it next week. But before we get out of here this week, Ike, anything you want to throw in here at the end?
They're coming to get you. Listen to their screams, listeners.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well done, I guess.
You're welcome.
Good effort. Well played.
A for effort.
That's right. You can't. They can't all be winners, but way to try.
What was it they always? What is it that Michael Jordan said? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's true, and sometimes you miss 100% of the shots you do take, and
amen to that, brother.
I'm not saying that's true, but I think you missed that shot. But good spirit, man. Good spirit. It works. So, all right. Well, again, next week, next episode, Late Night with the Devil. So if you haven't seen it yet, or even if you have, go check it out on Shudder before we discuss it so that you have it all in your mind and can have a internal discussion. It's okay. You're not crazy if you have an internal discussion in your head with us as you listen. It's perfectly fine. We're cool with it. You're our kind of people. So don't worry about it. It's very cool. But go watch the movie. It's coming out again April 19th on Shudder. But until then, wherever you go and whatever you do, be good, be safe, and have many pleasant nightmares.